We can get started. Our heads, Asaina Itahululu. We come before you with humble hearts in gratitude for this gathering and for each person who has answered the call to serve. We ask that you bless this space, seen and unseen, and that you guide us in the spirit of Inafa'maolek, that we may move with care, respect, and responsibility for one another. We honor our ancestors who walked before us, whose strength, wisdom, and resilience live within us. May their presence ground us, steady our hands, and remind us of who we are and who we carry through every action and every movement we make. As we come together in this work of mutual aid, may we be guided by compassion over ego, unity over division, and action rooted in love for our people. Strengthen our minds to think clearly, our voices to speak with intention, and our bodies to do the work that is needed. Watch over the communities we are in service to, those recovering, those rebuilding, and those barely holding on. May they feel Iguinaidzata across the waters and know they are not alone. Asaina Idzahululu, continue to guide us in the best relationship with each other, with our work, and with our purpose. Sana Ma'asi for this time, for this gathering, and for the responsibility we carry together. In the spirit of Inafa'maolek, we say, Taigwena Mohon. Right. We are just going to get through the majority of what is needed to present today, and then we will take questions and field, any comments or anything like that, any updates that we need in the end. Okay. So we will start with, is Bree available?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and do a quick land acknowledgement. Buenas and Hafade Todos Hamzu Guahusi Briana. I am joining you today from Minneapolis, Wamni Omni, falling water, as our Dakota relatives call this land. And the land, the people, in our DNA and our languages, there is no separation. We are the land and the land is us. We meet at a time when systems claiming authority over our climate and lives are failing us. Disasters are no longer abstractions. They are the reality that we inhabit. In this season of uncertainty, the ancestral knowledge that has sustained us through generations of upheaval will be the blueprint of our survival once more, and the values of Inafa'maolek as our guiding light. Because whether or not modern institutions recognize it, we are the descendants of those who know how to endure, to adapt, and move with intention. As we begin, let us honor our interdependence, our interconnectedness with Mother Earth, and remember that the work of holding sovereignty, dignity, and belonging is never finished. We are here together, weaving the wisdom of our ancestors into the fabric of our future. Sejus Masi.
Okay. How do we want to move into, yes. So some of the updates that we do have, the Pacific Northwest has 2 containers that have been loaded, and their sail out date is next week, Monday, Wednesday. Let's see. So far, with our Amazon wish list, this needs to be updated, but at least 218 packages or items have been received. And it continues to grow. The last day to actually purchase things and donate on that will be tomorrow in order to get it to Long Beach in time by Wednesday the 6th. So unless you have Amazon Prime to get it to us by the 6th, the last day would be to order those items as soon as possible. We also have over 600 volunteers working worldwide. We're so honored and humbled to have such a large network. It has quadrupled, I think, if not more, since the time of Mawar. So I just want to give everyone a shout out for really stepping up and taking the time to find a way to give, right? Tintuli is not just money, it's also our time and our energy. So Sizus Masi to everyone who's just made that number so ginormous. we just can't believe how much love and support has been flowing through. I will pass it to Tadung if he wants to chime in on any of this on this part.
Yes, yeah, and everything San has it. Havade Tos Hamsu Kwakusi Tadan, one of the coordinators with Inafa'maolek Mutual Aid, and actually wanted to see because we saw um, some of our Manyetlu from Saipan had joined the call, and so I think it's like really important that we center those who are on the ground right now. And so um, I didn't feel free to decline. I didn't ask you ahead of time, but yeah, Leila, if you wanted to just kind of speak to yeah what you're seeing real quick, just so all of us out here get in Lagu can kind of hear from you and what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, and yeah, just give you a moment to share.
Thanks. Sorry, I almost got overwhelmed there for a minute. Yeah, I just can't believe how many people have come together so quickly. Like what you were saying, over 600 volunteers everywhere. Like, yeah, that is quite a testament to the fact that these kinds of storms are new normal. So thank you, everyone who has mobilized so quick for us. Anyway, on the ground, the government is finally moving a little bit more as far as reaching the people. There has been so much cleaning and stuff, so you see that. But like in the villages where people need help, you know, because they were blocked in or they don't have water access or they don't have a car, most of the reason, those are the people that really do need all these supplies that are coming. And so I really like how a lot of the planning that's going on for the distribution will be more direct with respect to getting volunteers from the villages themselves and being able to bring it to people interiorly and not relying on the long lines that have often popped up, because that's not what we think of as normal, right? So trying to relearn a new type of way is important for that relief to actually get to the people who need it most. So I really want to thank you all for that. And thank you for giving me a voice.
Yeah. Yeah. How go mas telu. So it's I think all of us just want to wrap our arms around and all of our relatives back home. And this is until we can do that, until that day that we get to hold one another in person. This is our way of centering Nathamalit, because that's what our ancestors have done time in memoriam. And so I think, yeah, that's a beautiful transition into how we're centering these logistics every single day is through that core value of Inafa'maolek. And it's everything that we're talking about, the people that we're listening to, United for Saipan and all of the amazing volunteers that are on Saipan, to Micronesian Climate Change Alliance. It's really the survivors that we're trying to center. And we know that, and I've seen it in the chat too. Um, we've seen, they said like, thank you so much for being, Tsuduos Maasi, because like, that if this was happening to you, like we would be there for you, right? And so we just know that. So uh, in that spirit, I'm going to show just two more quick things, and then let's get to um, to figure out how we can most impactfully get these resources, because as we can hear, they're desperately needed, right? And we don't want our relatives to have to wait in lines. And I think the dynamic that is unfortunately true is a lot of relatives can't like don't own a car, and if they own a car, they can't afford gas. And if they can, and even if they can afford gas, there's not necessarily the infrastructure or the roads are clear for them to come and access it. So everything we're doing, everyone on this call, we all feel it, we all share it. Just Tangkalona sujus ma'asi, mega ma'asi for everything you're doing to get these desperately needed supplies back home. And so, um, one more thing just to show, this is Leila's update of just trying to visualize the scope of all the people involved. There's not a hierarchy. We all meet together and try to make decisions through consensus. And we're learning as we go. It's 100% volunteer. And so thank you for your patience. Thank you for support. We're always looking for ways to grow and improve and make these processes more efficient. And like join us in in doing this together because everyone on this call is Inafa'maolek mutual aid. So with that, we're really going to, as Saini Heidi said, really going to focus on the nuts and bolts, nitty-gritty details of how we're collecting these supplies, how we're getting them onto the containers, and then how they're being received in back home on the islands. So there's going to be lots of great questions. Michaela's going to be keeping track of them in the chat, so please share them in the chat, and we will address as much of them as possible at the end of the meeting. And if not, we'll try to find answers and send it over WhatsApp or email. So with that, I will pass it back to Saina Heidi.
Yeah, so this being our fourth collection, experience, we've developed our own site flows and our own charts on how to just center safety, avoid hazards, and just help those along that are at donation sites. This is just a quick showing of how to just keep that flow going and to keep everything safe. Upon arrival, I think those who are at a donation site, it's important that you have full directions on how the flow of things should go all the way to the actual container. But this would pertain also to the actual day of loading. So folks would actually arrive. We would have folks that would actually be directing traffic on how to drop things off. The next important thing is that intake form. All of you that are taking in donations at your sites or at your events, be sure to use that intake form, because without that, we are not able to put together a manifesto, which Matson requires the day of loading. So we need the final weight, we need all the items logged in, and also so that at the end, when our containers are sent out, the folks on the ground are able to distribute things in a way that is, clear and concise. When it comes to sorting, we use specific categories. There's anywhere from 4 to 8: household goods, first aid, we say camping gear, but it's gear like, outdoor gear like solar lights and those kinds of things, the mosquito nets. Those are the things that we really want to emphasize. These are the categories here. So food and water, power and lighting, shelter, camping, we put all those all together. Hardware tools, machetes. We separate cleaning supplies from the personal hygiene. But if you use those types of categories on your pallets, that's the best and easiest way to log in those boxes onto the fuller pallets that are going to go onto the containers. So we want to just start from the top in the beginning and label everything as much as possible. And also by using that intake form. Staging is another thing, because even those folks that are going to be sorting the and staging the boxes for those forklift drivers, because you'll be loading it. There'll be a central place in Las Vegas. There'll be folks coming in from Arizona, and folks coming in from Texas to Southern California. So it's important that also staging those boxes to be palletized and under those 8 categories would really help too. So those of you who do have those events and those donation sites, do your best to sort it out under those categories and label it not just on the top, but also on one side so that however the box is sitting, you can read it from either direction. We will go into that further. But then also on that container loading day, you just want to make sure that everyone is safe, that there's no children around. You know, for our Southern California hub, we are going to, you know, provide a place or a park where our kids can be while the adults are loading. We recommend, you know, 13 and older, and also like closed-toed shoes while we're doing these things. So I know we love our Zori and our sandals, but it's important to just be safe in case a can of Spam or something drops on your foot, right? We're going to go to the next slide. So here's like some of the teams that we create and the roles that KCF uses on the day of. So we have traffic coordinators, we have runners, folks that are communicating, those who are doing the intake form, and then those who are documenting things that are happening throughout the day. There is at least one site coordinator, and then one that's an operations flow manager, because there'll be forklifts going left and right and pallet jacks going all over the place. That's another important area to have a designated person. We do have a certified safety lead that will ensure that folks are not trying to lift boxes that are over, you know, 40 pounds on their own, that they're doing and using their legs and not their backs when doing these types of things. And then also that intake form to make sure that the intake form is clear and concise and sorted properly so that that final listing can go with the truck driver that's taking it out to the port. We do have, I'm sure we'll have folks that are still trying to figure out where things should go, but our sorting team would really just be sorting like category boxes onto pallets. That staging team would be those that are really just getting those pallets ready to go and applying the packaging packaging plastic around those pallets to keep them nice and tight so that when they are sorting on the other receiving end and back in the Marianas, that those containers are easy to offload and easy to sort. I think for this, that's about it, but we can share obviously these slides and in the notes for you all to keep for yourselves to figure out your teams as well. Some of the key protocols, I think I mentioned a few that we need to follow, that site lead person in their directions and that safety person. Be aware of your surroundings at all times. Make sure that you stay in your assigned area unless you're redirected by that site or station lead. We do want to make sure that you guys stay hydrated and you take your breaks, but to ensure that there's always that same number of people at that area. We want to keep all the pathways clear at all times because safety is number one. The Southern California location is on a commercial, you know, company where trucks will be coming in and out all the time. So we just want to make sure that everyone is safe. Slides are a little blurry. I think I'll pass it to Tadung if you can read those.
And I think I see that maybe Maria from MCCA joined. So
Okay.
Setlu, anytime that you want to come off mute and just share an update or anything. We know you're, we heard that you're juggling with every toe and finger. So anytime we have anytime we have with you is precious. So we can come back to this presentation, but just want to give you a chance to share any updates that you wanted to share with all of the amazing people on this call right now.
Yes, teamwork makes the dream work 1,000%. This is only made possible through the solidarity of everybody in this call. So just Maisie, everybody for being here. In terms of updates, is everybody on this call there connected to all of the containers on the ground at the different donation sites? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the intention of this call. There might just be
Okay,
some
perfect. Um,
well-intentioned volunteers too that just want to understand the
yeah.
process.
Yeah.
So
Yes, yeah, I can definitely give some updates on the just what's been going on around container distribution, receiving containers in Saipan, and all of that. But I do see Leila on the call, sis, and I'm wondering if at some point in the call, if you wanted to just as somebody who's on the ground there in Saipan, give like a an update first before I even share any of the logistics.
She did that earlier,
Oh, you
Maisie.
did that. Okay,
Yeah, she
Malik,
did.
And
Malik.
Maisie is
Okay.
also here. She has a different, perspective as
Perspective.
well. So I would welcome her.
Yeah, definitely want to first always center the folks there in the areas most impacted. Gwaizhahamzu. Yeah, if Maisie has some updates as well on your end, we would definitely love for you to go first, Chetlu.
Hi everyone, Hafades and Tiro. My name is Maisie B. Tenorio and I work at the Northern Marianas Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence. And lately have been working with the Sinamai which is volunteer organizations active in disaster, um, in terms of relief efforts. Working with the folks from MCCA and the Zulu Foundation Guam, the Commonwealth Women's Association, Carried On, and many, many others to address the needs in our community. I am the lead for distribution at TLC, so if you have any questions about that, the containers that you announced coming out of the Pacific Northwest are being received by the coalition. In addition to, I think total the coalition is receiving 6 containers, maybe more. But those are the 6 I know are confirmed in terms of coalition being the recipient. Um, so I'm not sure what other updates you would like. I mean, things here, I think Leila shared a lot, that we are so grateful for all your support. The NGO engine has been such a critical force in relief effort this time. I mean, I feel like it's such a important engine that just starts up as soon as it needs to from previous storms until now. But I feel like after Super Typhoon Sinlaku, it was the the force behind so many people. And when I say the work that has been done by MCC and others, many of the other national and other local NGOs and national has saved lives. They have literally saved lives. So thank you.
Beautiful, Maisie. Absolutely, just the kana of the Marianas and Sinlaku at this time is so strong. The energy of Gwenaiza across our islands, across the diaspora, even across territorially. Um, and so we just have been working since even before the storm hit to get our teams situated and resourced in all of the islands. All of the decisions around what's happening in Saipan first go through the communities and the teams on Saipan themselves so they can center the needs of the communities there on the ground as we move here in GUÅHAN and the admin arm to get critical funding for supplies, um, and for other needs. We're also running the drive here alongside the Azuda Foundation at the LBJ Elementary School. So we've been able to fill up to, I think, gosh, we're at 13 40-foot containers of supplies already that are anticipated to arrive to the warehouse location at the Triple J warehouse on Quartermaster Road. There's an amazing core team that created standard operating procedures around the receiving and distribution of the containers. And so just the Monday was sort of the soft launch where people were getting in, forklift drivers were already moving some pallets around. And there's a plan to just get the wheels turning there around community distribution, and ensuring that the containers that arrive go to where they're designated. So that's in Saipan. We also have coordinators on the ground in Luta and Tinian. Something that we are just flagging more so in recent days is the lack of produce, which is hard for our for our containers to bring there, but we have been blessed to connect with farmers in Luta who have a mass kamuti harvest and have been able to move about 1,200 pounds of kamuti to Saipan for the community there. We asked them, do you want us to support the farmers? And we just get the kamuti to the Rhoda community, and they're like, actually, everybody already has kamuti in our yards. We don't really need this, but so we're like, okay, let's get it to Saipan, because we're looking at the photos of the grocery shelves, and our coordinator in Luta found another farmer with about 700 pounds of kamuti that they're going to be moving within the next couple of days through Star Marianas with the partnership of United for Saipan, which has they are getting us some shipping waivers for supplies moving around the Marianas. So again, it's a united solidarity effort of so many groups working together, getting our resources together. This is the heart of mutual aid, that it's our communities on the ground that were impacted that know what is best for ourselves. And so just feeling grateful for all of the orgs coming together to support this effort across Sinlaku. And I will continue to share updates with the Sinlaku leads on any further logistics, but I did send the SOP document, which if they haven't already gone through, I'm sure will be discussed here in the meeting. And then the last thing I want to mention is Chook relief is something that our team has been working on with Azuda Foundation since the storm hit. And I'll keep this high level and brief because there's quite a few updates on Chook, but it was really tough to get like relief channels open in Chook specifically because, we were working with emergency planes, with the Coast Guard, for example, and Chook is a foreign nation. And so there's processes that needed to be put in place, such as, the Chook president needing to request aid before, anything could come from from a US agency. So that has been sort of a hurdle there, figuring out how to best get critical supplies to Chook. But as of the update since that time is that there are 3 containers from the LBJ drive that have arrived in Chook that are at the port. And MCCA just hired, after connecting with the groups who we've been a community with for many years now, and because they're also going through their own recovery and their homes have been turned into shelters here in GUÅHAN. Finally connecting with the Chukis Women of Guam organization who are in close community with the Chuk Women's Council in Chuk, are able to fly our coordinator to Chuk to help with the distribution. So they're also receiving the shipping containers from here in GUÅHAN. I know that has been a big concern and just ask of the mutual aid network to make sure that Chuk is not left behind. And Chuk has not been left behind from the beginning. We have been thinking of Chuk. So anything that comes here to LBJ, the containers, we're going to make sure that a good amount of that reaches our brothers and sisters in Chuk. So that's the update on the containers. And again, just centering Gwenaiza, solidarity, all of this would not be possible without each other. And I'm just proud of this effort and the kana of Gwenaiza going around in our communities. Sizos Masi.
Hagumas Talu. Thank you for those updates. And if you have the time, either Leila, Maisie, or Maria, at the end, we're going to talk a little bit more of the Sinlaku logistics. But if you're still on the call, we'd love to hear just a little bit about like what it's like to receive these containers. Just because we really want to center that for everyone is the reason we have all of these processes and protocols and rules, everything, is to make the lives of the volunteers who are unpacking these containers as easy and efficient as possible. So we'll go a couple steps again of what we're doing here in terms of like our donation site guidelines, and then if there's time, we'll turn it back over to uh, our uh, our Manyetlu who are receiving these containers. So I'm going to share these slides again. So just a couple for we have so many just to visualize it again, we've had over 40 donation sites from Alaska and Hawaii all the way over to all up and down the coast, Midwest. I know many of you are on the call right now. So again, it's just yeah, it's like anytime you just stop and sit with that for a moment, just like there's more donation sites than we can even keep up with. But for all of you here, really just wanted to name a few of these guidelines. Um, Up here. So in terms of sorting, really trying to keep that simple and consistent. So just thinking too that all of these are going to be put on pallets and like shipping pallets that you see at warehouses, grocery stores, anything like that. And so we want to fill these containers from floor to ceiling, side to side. And so really trying to consolidate and make that sorting and that packing as efficient and compact as possible. And dry and clean, right? Because we don't want to create any extra work for our volunteers on the other side. Both the volunteers who are going to be packing the container and then the volunteers who are receiving this container on the other end. Uh, Oh shoot, I forgot to add. So in the past, our well-meaning relatives have donated things like prom dresses, um, and we have to really think of relatives who've like lost everything. That this isn't simply like a no rules like goodwill donation type of thing. We really need to think about are these items that we're donating to our relatives, are they either like new, brand new, or gently used, but is it something that they can immediately use and just think that they're not going to have power for up to 6 months. Access to like running water is also limited, if at all, and so they're not going to be able to wash these clothes, right? So we need to be donating items that are clean and immediately usable for those who've been impacted. So I have a little script there of something you can say of Saduas Ma'asi, so much for your donation for shipping and safety reasons. We're only able to accept specific items right now, so we're unable to take this, but we deeply appreciate your support. So definitely acknowledging and affirming the loving intention and just being mindful of the people who are receiving it on the other end. So this intake form completion, Sanya Heidi talked about it. I'll pull it up here. We're still organizing it, but making sure that get their name, their email, because we need to email them a copy of this, first and last name. We have it here of all of the different regions that these donations are being made to. So Washington Pacific Northwest should categorize that. And then um, doing a list of what is being donated. And then if you can do a rough estimate of the weight and the cost. And again, all of this is this is for legal reasons, this is for financial reasons. It's the only way that Matson, not the only way, but what Matson's donation of these containers is contingent upon is that there's a nonprofit sending the container and receiving it, and that these containers have to be emptied within 24 hours. And so there is nonprofits, especially ones who are in the social justice arena, are under a microscope with the current sociopolitical climate, and so we just need to make sure that we're crossing every T, dotting every I, and that those intake forms are kept, that they're as accurate as possible to for the nonprofits that are uh, that are responsible for this in a legal capacity are kept safe, and that they can continue operating well after this event. And then these donation receipts. So we're going to include that. So that's why we collect their information and we're going to send that. But that the donor receiving the receipt, it's contingent upon the person who's doing the intake form accurately completing the intake form. So it is a lot of responsibility. It is a little bit of data entry, but if you just think of the impact that this is making at a grand scale, that the fact that these are life-saving supplies, just remember it's a little tedious of data entry, but it's so worth it in the long run to keep our nonprofits operating safely and that the supplies are going to those in need. Okay, part two. So again, thinking of, and this is specifically for donation site, right? That you're using medium-sized boxes, not too big, because we're thinking there's going to be volunteers of all different size and strength carrying these boxes, because this is an intergenerational effort. So, we'll have youth, youth at like 18, and elders who are wanting to help. And so making sure that the boxes are not, that no one's going to throw out their back lifting a single box. So making sure you're not overfilling these boxes that you're sorting for us, grouping as much as possible the similar items together so that we only have a small window of time. Say in San Francisco, it's 9 to 3 to collect all of these resources and get them on the container. So as much as you can pre-sort at your donation site will make our day of logistics so much easier, and then taping securely. And then again, we said it again, we'll say it every single time you hear from us about this stuff, labeling it clearly on top and on the side, the category, at least two sides of what is in there. And this is something that, I think it's, just imagine that you're the one having to unpack this on the end. The we know that the incredible efforts on Saipan, it's late nights and early mornings, running on fumes, and so as much that we can reduce the work that they need to do, and if they know that someone needs the specific item, we see it in the chats, right? Like, hey, does anyone have this supply and this supply? If you can label that box and then someone doesn't have to unpack it all, they can just see that box like, okay, we know this household on the north part of the island is in desperate need of this item. They can just take it and go, right? So just like there's a reason behind all of these requests. And then lastly, this pre-transport prep, again, making sure that each box is sorted, tightly packed, clearly labeled, and then count the total boxes per category if possible. That's going to make the lives of us who are filling the containers, it'll make that workflow much more efficient. So any questions you have, put it in the chat. I'm going to pass it to you, Sina, Heidi, and then potentially we could hear from some of the volunteers back home too about what it's like to receive these items and unloading the containers.
Yeah, just talking earlier, I think, a few have come on and missed maybe the earlier parts, but really just ensuring that things are labeled properly, that we're using that H form when we're taping boxes, liquids, if we can bag them. We don't want to create trash or extra trash when it's received on the other end, but it's just really critical that everything is sorted out as much as possible, and that those boxes are really detailed and are under those 8 categories on that intake form, if that's possible, or on our actual form that shows what items are needed. Household goods, tools, food and water, baby diapers, adult diapers, those all can be in one. Feminine hygiene, things like that. We really want to make sure that is as clear as possibly labeled on all of the boxes. So for the Southern California move-in date, I'm going to call it a move-in date. We have 2 containers that will be happening. And the first container will, we will arrive at 8 o'clock to get started. And then by 9 o'clock, hopefully San Diego will be up in the Long Beach Carson area, and we will be able to start loading them first. The second container from Team 6702 is coming from Las Vegas, Arizona, as well as Northern Texas. You guys will be starting to load at 10:30. So our timeline is even shorter. Our timeline is between 9 and 2 o'clock. So the sooner we load the first container, we can continue to load the second one. But we will provide, I will provide more details in the SoCal hub for those of you who are coming in from those outer locations beyond Southern California. Alrighty.
And just to give a scope too, I think, do we count last night that we're up to 8 containers? Do I understand that right?
Yeah, 2 are already leaving this weekend though.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just kind of like the scale 2 of those flow of all those goods that you as the donation hosts are collecting. And this this is more of a visualization because we don't even have all of the pins for all of the all of the donation sites on here. It's just it's frankly too much to try to keep up to visual, but this gives you just an overview of that. So so
And those 2 initial containers are going straight to Saipan, and Maisie, you'll have a great time unloading those.
Good. Wonderful. Great. So I think yeah, maybe we'll just give some of the maybe Macy, Maria, and Leila, if you just want to talk about kind of the process of, and I can share it here. We'll share this too. So we have like the standard operating procedures or kind of the plans that MCCA has for unloading it. We'll share these links and these documents after the call, as well as this recording. Fingers crossed that our YouTube upload works this time. But so we'll share these documents for you all to read afterwards. But for now, if we just kind of if there's anything else you wanted to add of kind of like what the experience is like for those who have been unloading the containers, and if there's anything else that we haven't mentioned yet that would make your lives, for those who are receiving and distributing the supplies, make your lives easier. So maybe I'll um, start with Maria, and then we'll go Maisie and Leila.
I think for me, just in communicating or kind of running the, this coordinated drive here around like receiving donations. One of the ways that we have been categorizing items is like setting aside pallets, for like all toiletries on one pallet, all so toiletries and then food. So that's how we've sort of been receiving items. We have a receiving table with boxes already on it. And as donations arrive, we are just kind of palletizing them in those categories. And the items that come to mind that have been on single pallets are, for example, rice bags. So we get a lot of rice bag donations. Those go on a single pallet stacked. Water is another donation item that is typically all in one pallet. And then dog food, like pet food, is a major need as well. So we've been trying to push for more pet food on island because we're just hearing that there's a constant need even for like the customs and canine dogs at the airport. There's no access to pet food on island, so they're really struggling. Um, and uh, and I'm sure it's one thing that is helpful is just having the manifests already provided to the team on the ground so they know what they're receiving. So the last that I spoke to Kai and Maisie will have an update there, but he didn't, of all the like 13 containers that were coming in, he at that time a few days ago didn't have like any of the manifests. So if that can just be provided ahead of time, that would just be helpful for everybody unloading on the ground there. For Guam, we're still kind of figuring out what that looks like around uh, receiving, sorting, distributing, because we've been talking to a lot of elders who have been doing this work for so long, who have made recommendations about how the containers should be already be packed. And I shared this with Sina Heidi, that they were suggesting that the containers that are coming through to GUÅHAN and Saipan are already pre like pre sort of, what's the right word? They're already sort of designated for a particular island. So if a container is being packed, like that container would be packed, for example, Chuk, that would need to come through GUÅHAN, stay in the port, and then just be forwarded straight to Chuk. To get to Tinian, the container would still have to pass through Saipan, but if a container is already designated for Tinian, then we can communicate with the Matson contacts to already let them know that this one container will stay in the port and go straight to Tinian. And then on the Luta side, we're hearing that the port still hasn't opened. So what I've talked about with my team on the ground there at MCCA is just still making sure that we don't forget Tinian and Luta, and maybe figuring out Star Mariana's flights of supplies to Luta, because they can't receive the container, but that might have changed. And then to Tinian, if for whatever reason it's not possible to reroute the Saipan container directly to Tinian. So yeah, just in speaking to Azuda elders who have been doing this work for 30 plus years, that has been their recommendation, just to pre-designate the containers already for a specific island.
All right, so do us Maisie and Maisie. You have updated ops plans for TLC, and anything else you want to share that us here in the diaspora in Sinlaku can do for you.
Sure. So I did want to, so yes, we do have an updated ops plan based on the MCCA plan. So thank you for sharing that. That was very helpful. I'm happy to share the updated. I'm not sure if Ben is on the call, but it's still kind of like waiting his review and approval. And then once that is finalized, we're happy to share it with everyone. We're even happy to post it online. I know that we are receiving many questions about what the distribution plan will be. So through the volunteer organizations active in disaster, we created a list of priorities, to include, anyone who's homebound, has a medical need, etc., first responders, Tinian, etc. So I can share that, and it's in the ops plan. So in terms of what Maria was asking about, sharing about the manifest, so definitely the manifests are important. I know when I met with Taggy the other day, they also have a spreadsheet. So if others have that, that would be amazing, that we can get ahead of time. so that we can start creating, because we have our own intake spreadsheet, and then we can start transferring information as it's being unloaded and just verifying versus manually typing it all into the spreadsheet. That would definitely be great. We did discuss palletizing by type. I think that's a great idea. Um, that'll definitely help the warehouse flow, which Ben has already figured out. We had to like shift things around based on safety, but there's already a plan to how to sort the items as they come in, and if they're palletized by type, that's great. For Tinian though, unfortunately, we were hoping to be able to just take a container for Tinian and send it, but we're not allowed to do that. So we do have to receive, offload, and then transfer the goods for Tinian to another vessel and then send it. There is a shipper who is willing to do it for free. Um, for some of the containers that have already been identified. I'm not sure if they're able to extend that, but we're also working. We just, Phil Long was on our meeting this morning, so we have other ideas of how to get that freight paid for. We are also accepting, so for example, there are some containers that are coming in with pallets that are designated for Saipan, Rhoda, or Tinian within the same container. That's perfectly fine so long as the pallets are labeled. That way, when we offload it, we can put it aside and make sure that it gets on to Tinian. For Tinian, we are working with Ohala Foundation and Team Coca. For Rhoda, we are working with Luta Cares, and these are all NGOs. But I know that these NGOs are also coordinating with their municipal offices, which is critical for Rhoda and Tinian. I'm trying to think what was the other question. The coalition is also going to release a PR and graphics to explain all of this. One of our core things for this is to share as much information with our community as we can, and then with all of the POCs on the mainland. We 100% understand the desire for transparency, and we will share as much information as we can back to you all, and then of course within our community, about what containers are coming in, what's in the container, what the plans are, how we plan to pack them. There's a schedule of the distribution. So for example, one day is village to village, and we're going to try to do like 5 villages in one day. The next day will be the larger pods or the house to house and shelters, for example. So the plans are coming along, and we are doing everything we can to honor the work and the love that is coming from the US and the diaspora from Guam and other places. So thank you. Any questions you have about distribution, let me know. The distribution that's out of the Typhoon Logistics Center, that I have information on, and warehouse, Ben Babauta is in charge of the warehouse. Any questions or?
Thank you, Maisie. I do have one suggestion on the Tinian container, because we have been able to move an LBJ container to Tinian free of cost. So I'm even wondering, like, is there a way to maybe have the container rerouted to Tinian through the Guam Matson contact, and we can get that straight to the island for free? Because I'm not sure. I know there are different Matson contacts from Saipan to Tinian, so we're just really blessed here that Matson is waiving all the costs for us in GUÅHAN, so we've been able to just send containers straight to Chuuk, straight to Tinian. And so definitely want to connect with you to see like the best, most efficient way that we can work together, because you're working directly with my team in Saipan, Ben, and Asia. And So I'm kind of getting the updates from them, but me and you need to huddle to
Yeah, that would
figure out
be
the best
great, man. If we can get
way to
that direct to
coordinate.
Tinian.
Yeah, save
Mm-hmm.
us the costs, you know? Might as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Matten's been
Yeah.
amazing. Honestly, they've been
Yeah.
wonderful. And also, I forgot to share that the local government has waived all the wharfage for the containers coming in to NGOs. All the containers that we're managing through the VOAD and at the TLC, they gave us a verbal commitment. We don't have it in writing yet, but we will keep pushing because we are also concerned about, raising funds for those wharfage fees. But it looks like we're good to go on that end.
Maisie. Leila, is there anything when you made a conversation? Oh, I see. We just want to see if there's anything else, Leila, that you wanted to share about receiving the containers or distribution or
I am
anything.
not part of that part yet. I'm still just waiting for the call for when we all go up and actually start volunteer out there. So thank you. Maisie and Ben are definitely in charge.
Okay. Okay. So and let us know, right? This is uh as you learn and as the process unfolds, like just continue to keep those channels of communication open so we can best serve you all. So okay, so with that, that concludes the planned portion of our of the call. So I know there's been some questions going on in the chat that we're happy to stay on and chat. Anybody that needs to drop off, totally understand. Those that still have questions, we're happy to stay on and answer a few of those. So yeah, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll create stack for anyone who has questions.
We can see some were answered in real time. So if there are any that need to be answered, please let us know.
I will say that Leila has been doing the door, she's been in the food and water distribution team on the ground, door to door, sis. So if you see any like, you know, what the urgent needs are around like distribution specifically. I know bags of rice is something that we're being told here in GUÅHAN. But and I don't know what the updates are on the door to door around the water distribution, but yeah, what specifically in terms of supplies the door to door team is needing, like mosquito nets, things like that.
Yeah, mosquito nets for sure. I mean, everything that has been listed and discussed are all things people need. I feel like the communication about where to get things is a little bit hard. We know that the Red Cross does some, but I don't know if they've gotten to, every family. And so having those volunteers from the villages themselves will be key in our organizational for the next steps. But I defer to I mean, anybody else who's also on the ground. I'm just only in Cagman really, and yeah, it's a lot. Sorry, it's loud where I am.
No good. And Maisie, did you have an answer for that? And then we can go to Prof. Hop after
Mm-hmm.
that.
Well, I have a question and a comment. So one of the things that we've been sharing with the POCs that we talk to regularly is like if we can get bins. So when we're doing the house to house and we're delivering goods, especially for those who have really damaged homes or are in the shelters, if we can get those bins and put stuff in there, that would be so awesome. And so we would love to also, for the environment, not use plastic bags and things like that, or reusable bags or bins. The other thing that I've been hearing a lot is like solar powered anything, solar powered fans, solar powered, and I feel like that's already been communicated. I've seen them in all the flyers. Recently, working with World Central Kitchen and many others, we're kind of talking about the butane stoves and the butane. Taggy did say that initially Matson said no to the butane, but through Taggy's contacts, they were able to identify the fact that they could have a special container full of butane that would just be handled differently. I forget that there's a name for that type of container. So if other POCs want to also think about that, or because as mass feeding kind of dies down, I know PSS will do the grab and go, and other folks are going to be participating in mass feeding. But if we can get the butane stoves and the butane into folks' hands, I think that would help a lot in terms of food. And I apologize, one more thing. So the question is, if there are other needs, because a lot of organizations are saying, hey, this is what we're hearing on the ground, or other people like Leila who are on the ground, is there a central place that we can share that information? Okay.
And then, yeah, so we can, so we've been updating it uh, kind of daily. I'll put it in the chat here. And what we can do is after this call, I can get your address and we can give you editing permissions for this document to just update it in real time. So here's that document, or even if you just want to request that. Oh, great. Okay. Yep. And I'll save that there. So yeah, so it's just every day that we're hearing from volunteers and coordinators on the front lines, we've been updating that document. But as the needs emerge, like please, by all means, those who are, going house to house and are hearing what's needed, will do that. Senhai, I wonder if you
To
could kind of
respond,
speak to,
yeah. I want to
yeah,
respond to Tonya for team 6702 in Vegas. KCF created a specific donation link for them. So if you have actual dollars that you want to donate or others, you can use that donation link. That's also for those that are a part of that whole team, Arizona and Tilisa, and Jenny out in Houston. So Texas is using that link as well, and those dollars will be provided. I will find that link for you all and send it here. So I just wanted to get to that.
and Prof. Hoff is on Stack. So go ahead.
Hi, Lauren here. I have a couple of questions slash clarifications. So over the weekend, we did a 1 day donation drive over at Sherman Oaks, and pretty much everything was packed. I used the intake form on Google Forms to document everything. But there's like one thing that's on my mind. We collected food and we were pretty strict about following all the categories, got rid of liquids, but we did a vote and we thought that spaghetti sauce wasn't a liquid, but we weren't sure. I want to be super, super careful about what we're packing and adhering to the rules, but that was the one thing we literally, three of us did a vote and just stood in front of the box and we couldn't figure out whether or not we should take that out. I kind of have a feeling I know which box has it if we should take that out.
I mean, I have thoughts. It's so we have the I think it my thinking, and then Sanhani, like please weigh in. I think if it is well packed, if it's sealed and well packed
Mm-hmm.
and not at risk of spilling, then it's safe. Really, what
Okay,
we're trying to
cool.
do is trying to prevent, especially hazardous materials, so
Okay.
hazardous liquids, right? And really trying to prevent where, if that item was to, because these are shipping containers going over the ocean, and so lots of movement in transit. If it were to break and spill, would it damage the surrounding donations, right? So we're just trying to limit
Hmm.
that potential. So
Okay.
so if it's canned spaghetti sauce, I'd probably feel better about it. It's like fortunately like if it's like in plastic and like not as much of a risk to break. But if it's something that you could think of like in a shipping container, and if like one of the pallets like tipped and like hit that corner of the
Hmm.
box and it cracked, would it spill and say there was like toilet paper underneath? Just kind
Tough.
of like thinking
Okay.
through that, right? That's my response.
Hmm.
Sen Heidi, any
I
thoughts
see.
on that?
Yeah, I would agree that it has to be packed very well and probably with, the bubble wrap, unfortunately. We've been using all paper and cardboard and recyclable, stuffing, in the boxes. But yeah, there's some things we can't avoid, like little shampoo bottles that were donated and sorting them all in plastic, like Ziploc bags. But I know those will be reused. Those bags will definitely be reused. So yes, and our plan is also to provide, just to respond to Maisie, that some sort of reusable bags. And we did get maybe about 20 buckets. We could definitely focus on that too, so that when you're sorting on your side back home, that it's a lot easier to carry and sort out for door to door. Okay.
Gotcha. And one last question. I heard someone talk about pelletizing rice and water. We did put water and rice into boxes that would fit, but we collected one box is 85 pounds of rice. And I'm getting some donations that I'm bringing to Paleli projects for like packed individual water bottles. Should we look for boxes for those? Or if I'm understanding correctly, pelletized just means they're eventually all going to go to its own section, so I don't need to find boxes for those.
Don't worry about the boxes. We're gonna pack them all on pallets.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all. Thanks.
Wonderful. All right, and on stack we have Sarah. So, and I know it's I want to hear your question, but just like, thank you so much for your patience. You can tell how much stuff is moving all around and that we haven't been able to give you a specific answer of like where your donations are going. But
No, it's all
I would
good.
still love to hear your question and just, yeah, Suzu's Masi for your patience.
Oh, no problem. And it's all good. I think as long as I'm like, okay, if I get stuff this weekend, it will eventually, I figure the need is going to be there for a very long time. And so as long as it will eventually, there's somewhere I can bring it that can go, I'm not too worried about it. Two specific questions. One is, folks, some other friends got a large donation of a lot of battery operated chargers, fans, chargers, can't remember which. I'm sure you've said this, but again, like where are we at in terms of like when if they're small lithium batteries, if they can be shipped or not? No. Okay. Okay.
So we have I got that from our Matson liaison, and
Yeah.
we have like a whole like 34-page document that I
I'm
did
sure.
not read about like lithium-ion like packing considerations. And so I would say that if the items in there, what we'd have to do is the entire container would need to be
Yeah.
categorized as hazardous
Yeah,
materials. And so
no. Yeah,
it's
not
like,
worth it. Yeah.
and just to name that, like we know how much those supplies are needed, especially like the solar banks
I
and everything like
know,
that.
that's what's hard.
And so we're trying to balance like that is something where there's a whole other WhatsApp group called like After the Storm, where we're
Yeah,
trying to uh you know have those type of answers and those type of solutions for like the next relief effort.
totally.
But just for May 9th, like we're not able to like accept
Yeah,
those.
totally. Yeah,
So
that
yeah.
makes sense. And then I guess I just wondered, since like Amazon in theory ships them, right? Like there's some things that Amazon will ship that have those. At what point, like, is it gonna make sense to, and I'm sure you guys are all figuring this out, but to like switch the Amazon wish list to like just going directly to Saipan? Because I've heard that some packages are going through.
We're hearing that they're being held in Guam,
Okay.
especially the
I mean, that
post
makes
office.
sense. Yeah.
The post office. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're not clear.
Not yet.
Yeah, if they're getting to Saipan just yet.
Okay. And then just one more thing, medications I'm a pediatrician and my clinic has been donating a bunch of like children's Tylenol and all that. If they're in their original containers, those are good. Yeah?
As long as they are not expired.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Marie, did you have some feedback on that, or so you just wanted to come off?
Oh yeah, I just about the medications and OTC um medicines. I just this morning was talking with Carlotta with the Azuda Foundation about the need for over-the-counter medicines. And we're trying to move prescription medicines and preemie formula to Saipan specifically. So MCCA just received another grant for women and children to support women and children in this disaster relief. So we're looking at purchasing more supplies for preemie babies in the NICU, things like that. That's just something that came to mind when you're talking about the need for meds. What I understand, the OTC meds that were shipped from GUÅHAN had to be in freezer boxes, or maybe they just did that to be extra. I don't know what the actual regulation is, but that's what we did here. So definitely want to check to see, like, does it need to be shipped in some sort of freezer box from there if you guys did want to send some of that over to the islands.
Got it. I've been like pretty because I was a pediatrician in Saipan before, and so I have been in touch with my colleagues there about what particular formulas they need with the WIC closed for the time being. And so I think we did pretty well. We got actually some through a volunteer like flying in last week or earlier this week. So, but yeah, those needs are going to continue for sure. So all like formula seems great. It also ready-made formula, which is super expensive, but obviously, valuable, particularly with water being such a challenge, will always be helpful, I assume.
Yes, we have some, and we noticed that Ensure has not been, donated at all. So those are other
Would
things
that be helpful then? Like I was thinking that in terms of like booster, more like adult protein shakes.
Some folks have donated like the powder,
Right.
Vitamins or hydration,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So this is what I'm seeing on that
Yeah,
Amazon. Yeah, coming in. So
this is my Boonie cat from Guam, and I have my Boonie dog right here. Literally.
So cute. Oh my gosh. Well, if you have supply lists from your clinics that you're working with, we can support that. So let's
Yeah,
that's why these
Thanks.
calls are so important.
Totally. Yeah.
Definitely we want to connect with them and see what's needed and help get those purchased with grants.
Yeah.
Thank you.
you. Thanks, everyone.
all right.
Sarah.
And Lisa.
Hi, half a day. I have like three questions. First of all, the shampoos, hand sanitizers, they just have to be sealed properly, right? That's anything that's liquid like that needs to be sealed properly so they don't leak. So we can still donate the liquid shampoos, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then I know I saw clothespins. Would can openers be okay to? I know some canned foods have this, they pull off, but not all canned foods are like that. Would donating like some can openers would be helpful too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Okay, because I didn't see that on the list. And then the size of the bins. If we were to get the bins like from Costco or Sam's Club, what is the appropriate size that would make sense to donate?
The medium size, not the large.
It's like 27, I guess 27 quart.
Let's look that up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just there's all these different sizes, and I just want to make sure that we get the right one.
I imagine as long as it fit on the pallet, right? As long as it doesn't go past the width of the pallet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the 18 by 18 by 16, if I'm not.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Auntie.
All right. And any final questions? If something comes up, please you can add it to the Inafa'maolek mutual aid chat or disaster relief chat. Let me share a couple of the links here at the end. Here we go. So just a few closing links. Here we go. Okay. So that supply list, as you can hear, it's constantly being updated. So as soon as we hear a need and we have time for someone to update the list, and we're just going to start having the coordinators in Saipan updated themselves. So that supply list, that's where you can do it there. If you want to join, if you're not already on the WhatsApp, please join it there. That is our primary means of communication. And so feel free to ask a question, and one of the coordinators or another volunteer will be able to answer it there. Probably not getting too many more host signups since we're coming into the final stretch. But if someone else does, that's the sign up there, and then the mapping list. So you can kind of see, you can send that to someone if they don't necessarily live in your area but want to donate. We will say as we get as we're approaching the kind of the cutoff dates, the best thing to do is to have those monetary donations. So it's listed at the Sinlaku link tree and the Inafa'maolek mutual aid, but also going directly to MCCA and KCF. And you can hear the amazing work they're doing, and this is really going to the families and communities in need. So definitely encouraging that. So and is it Shalane? Did I say that right? Shalane?
Yes, hi Tadong. Question, real quick. So I'm picking up, and it's in the chat. Just wanted to verify. So I'm picking up a couple of donations, or they're driving over to the DMV area to drop off their locations, sort of like drop sites in like North Carolina and different places in the East Coast. And we're trying to get pods to drop it there. Would that be a possibility?
So you're gonna send it to the Long Beach container or Northern California?
We're looking for a place to drop off. And we're wondering what would be the most feasible way, if that's an option or not.
There's always options, Nenny. We would have to receive it by the latest, I don't even want to say Friday, the latest Thursday. Thursday is our final sort day. So
and
Thursday,
which area would you suggest?
How large is the pod?
We're not sure. We're picking up everything. We set the deadline for this week, actually. So like we're saying, they have to get it in by this week, and then that's when we'll find out the logistics for that.
So I guess my question is, there's an Arizona drop-off, there is a Houston drop-off, there's a Las Vegas drop-off, and then the final is here in Long Beach, Carson area. So do you want to be in contact to drop it at Houston so that they can drive it over? Do you want to be in contact with?
We're looking for straight to California, where it's easier to go to the container.
Yeah, we could provide an address. I just need to know the size of the pod.
Okay, so Heidi, would you be the best person to contact then?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Again.
Okay, because we're looking maybe at a 16 feet container. Is what would that be too big?
No, nothing's too big. As long as it's not bigger than 40.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we could drop it. We could drop it on the property. If anything, we'll figure it out. But that sounds good. Go ahead. No, though. You guys did you raise enough money to do that?
We're trying to get sponsor.
Okay.
For that through the 501c3.
If you need one, let us know. KCF can take that in and pay that pod for you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Yes. If you need a nonprofit to take in those dollars, let us know, and we'll take it in and pay for the pod that way.
So we're utilizing the nonprofit under our end. So the cost is but would KCF still be able to pay for the cost if we're already using a nonprofit, or does it have to be through KCF?
Is the money that's being utilized funneling through the nonprofit out there?
the request is made to the nonprofit. So the pod is utilizing the tax exempt information to give us a cost estimate.
Okay. Let me know.
Okay.
We'll talk.
All
We
right.
can talk more. We can figure that out.
Okay, thanks.
We've brought in, let's see, about $3,700 so far. So our plan is to cover the shipping to and from for the 2 containers to and from the port, as well as the trucking, the forklift drivers and things like that. So the additional dollars we're going to focus on, other items that are not being donated on that wish list that we're noticing, even what's being we're noticing, like the fans are not
The need.
donated. Yeah, the solar charging stations are not being donated. So those additional dollars, we will purchase those things before the container takes off. So,
and you're saying the deadline for that would be what would be the deadline? May
7th.
May 7th is our sort day. Yeah.
Okay. For at Long Beach in
Long Beach, Carson area.
Yeah. Okay. So they just need that information to get that quote to see, and then I'll contact you to find out more information, since the time is approaching. Really, it's like tomorrow. So
yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Just text me or on WhatsApp. We can communicate.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I have one request on that. If you can make sure to like take photos, and like if your org has like a logo, because like at the end I just like imagine like those race cars were like plastered, if like like it was just like for us just to be able to collect like everybody who's donated, and kind of just so the volunteers are, I mean, so we can see like, and not the visualize that what collectively we've accomplished together, and just seeing like the pod get packed up and loaded on your end, and then knowing that it got to Long Beach, and then that those supplies got to Saipan. It'll just be a really, really powerful story. And so taking photos along the way will be really, really powerful. So.
And Shalane, are you guys using the intake form so that we know what's on that pod?
We have it and we plan to utilize it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I have a question. Do I do the intake form for each, like North Carolina, different states that I pick out, and then put it in the pod and organize it that way? Or do I just receive everything and do that internally?
Yeah, it's up to you how you want to do that.
Okay.
We can add like the locations if you want onto that intake form. Just let us know what states you want to add, but that's totally up to you how you want to organize that pod. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you guys know. Thank you.
Okay. That's what.
That was yes, so Moxie, everyone who stayed with us till the very end. Will be sending out notes and hopefully a recording of this shortly, as soon as it's technically possible.
Yeah. Taran, can you put that that QR code for the team 6702 in the chat? I don't know if you can. I sent it to you on WhatsApp.
Yes.
Tonya needs that. And Talisa Merrill's using it as well. So
here, I have that, and then I can let me scan it real quick and send the URL as well. Just a moment. Are they still on the call?
Yeah, Tonya's still there.
Okay, great. All right, so that's the QR code. So if you want to screen cap that, and then let me send the link itself. Here it is. This is the Team 6702. Okay. And that is what it looks like right here, and I will put that in the chat.
So those funds will help them with the rental of their U-Hauls, as well as any expenses when they come across. They do need help with that. So we wanted to give them their specific link so that they can decide on how they want to utilize those funds.
Okay.
So Tonya, feel free to add that to any of your flyers for this weekend when you guys are doing your collection. That way you do not have to take in the cash, and KCF will supply a receipt. You're welcome. Again, we can send you. It's Uncle Ben Seaman. He's out there in Vegas.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I think that was that the last item, I believe. So let me get that beautiful slide just to end it on. So yeah, and so, just gonna say like Sudulas Maasi to all the volunteers who make these calls happen behind the scenes, even if they're not on this specific call, they're working around the clock around the world, together with you. So this is all of us together. So yeah, Sudulas Maasi, Todos Hamzu for your time and service and everything you're doing to bring Inafa'maolek back to our home and to our relatives in the Marianas. So be well, be safe, and Todos Hamzu, and have a wonderful evening. Sudulas Maasi, Todos Hamzu.